Hello class and welcome to homework assignment for lecture 2. In this homework assignment we're going to practice what we just learned in lecture 2, of course, the central tendency and dispersion measures. And we're also going to touch on some little things like how to create a graph. We just learned in lecture 1 homework how to do pivot tables, so we'll look at how to create graphs from those tables, and then we're going to dive right into what we see in this sheet, how to put in the equations for measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. All right, so let's get started. So we've got our data set here in the data tab, our data spreadsheet. We've got our homework tab here and then an enter sheet for our homework. But this will also act as your enter key. So first off, we have, it's telling us to graph BMI by age group, BMI group by age group. So there's BMI, which we probably don't want to graph, but we have groups now. We can graph that group by the age group. And we know these are ordinal variables. So what we want to do is follow the instructions. So I probably won't read step by step through the 4 steps, but it is here for you so that when you're doing your homework and your midterm and your final exam, you've already got comfortable with these instructions that you don't have to go back to them. All right, so recall from homework 1, like I said, we did the pivot table, so we're going to follow those steps again. We're going to go into the data tab and go to insert, and we're going to insert into M1 there. So data tab, insert. I'm going to insert a chart, not necessarily the table anymore. The chart gives us the table and the chart, or you can say only the chart. Hey, let's do both. So if you remember, if you select all of them, you have, you get all of those in your pivot table as options for your pivot table. If you only select one, then you only have age, right? You only have exercise. So we're going to select all of it because we want all of it. And where do we want it to land? We're going to click in here. We have to click in here and then go there. M1. Press OK. Move this over to where we might want it. And let's go. So we want age group. And we want, oh, I think I specified where we want it. And BMI. BMI. Oh, totally see what I'm doing wrong here. So I don't know why I was disregarding these error messages. Don't disregard the error messages. Actually read them, and it's telling us that there's a problem here. I'm putting in BMI instead of BMI group, and so it's telling us that, whoa, you've got a whole lot more groups than you need. 255. Is BMI really what you want, or do you want the BMI group? So we're going to undo that. We're going to undo that. We're going to go down to BMI group because that's more conducive for a pivot table. And we have it there. We can switch these around. I like the way that looks, actually. We're going to clean it up like we did in lecture 1. Remove the nulls and the blanks. And so voila, this is what we have. We have the table, we have the chart, whatever floats your boat. But I believe I asked for the chart. the graph. So this literally is question number 1 done. So question number 1 asks how many elderly, how many middle age, and how many young people are overweight. So we can go to the graph or we can go to the table, whichever one floats your boat, right? But we can see from the table, young, middle age, and seasoned that's overweight, here they are. And we're going to talk about this a lot more in lecture 3. That's all lecture 3 is about. But right now we're in lecture 2. So continuing on, what category of adults has about the lowest number of obese people? I will let you look at that and determine that. But let's go on to the meat of lecture 2. Okay, this lecture 2 homework is all about coding. So we're introducing coding. We're going to get really comfortable with coding, because if you can't code past lecture 2, you can't do anything. Okay, which means you are going to not be able to do your midterm as well. All right, so coding. These are literally the steps. Okay, so if you follow them and don't deviate from them, you will have mastered coding. It is really simple. It is really redundant, really repetitive. And so there's no, just don't add your own steps, because it's really just a basic 1-2 step. So do the 1-2 step with me. Step 1, we never tamper with original data. We will always duplicate the columns. We want to recode, okay? So we go into the data tab, we're gonna go there, and we're gonna hover over everything we want to recode, in this case gender, copy it, insert the copy, so we're pasting it, okay? Again, never tamper with original data. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to now recode that second column. Oh, sorry. It's actually telling us we're going to insert a comment so that we know how we're coding it. Okay? So that when someone goes in, they're going to know, oh, she coded it as this. She coded it as that. Okay? So we're going to select this, copy. I just right-clicked, copy, right-click again, insert copied. So here we are. I'm saying I want to insert a comment. I right click, insert comment. I'm going to call this variable, let's call it male. If we call a variable male, or the gender variable, that tells us what the variable is coded as for 1 versus 0. Okay, so male equals 1, female equals 0. Okay, and we're calling this gender variable male. Okay, so if I call this gender variable female, guess what that means? Female is 1 and male is 0. This is the way that researchers help, like we create ways to look at the variable name and know exactly without having to click in the comments. If I type female here, female here, I know that this, therefore everything here that I see as 1 would be female. Everything here that I see as 0 is the other category, which is male. So what we do now to recode, very simple. We go select it. We're not going to select both of them. We're only selecting the one we want to recode. And we're not selecting. Let me show you what happens when you don't select. You go in, Control H, you say, I want to recode. So everything that I call male, I want to recode as 0. You with me? Guess what's going to happen? You say replace all. Even the original data, you have now tampered with it. It tells us how many things were, values were replaced. We don't want that, so we're going to undo that. We're going to select what we want. If you notice, I'll do it again. Now we're going to select what we want and we're going to recode. We're going to start with male so that you can see what happened. That second boo-boo. Let's replace all. So what happens? 1,001 was replaced. But what happened? Everywhere that said male, right? The word female has the word male in it. So if this is what you do, don't lose your mind over it, because all you have to do is now go in and say FE0, and we're recoding that as 1. Okay? And we also want to make sure that we call this female, because that's how we've coded it. Female is 1, right? Everywhere we see female, we see 1. Female 1. You can check that with your original data. Okay? But let me go back. Let me go back. So say I know that this issue happens, right? So I'm going to code female first, and I'm going to say 1. Now male is still there. Woohoo. So I can go in and code male as 0. Okay? And again, go in here, female, and notice again, everything should be the same. We know everywhere we see 1, everywhere we see 0s are males. Okay? So that's it. That's recoding. That is recoding. We want to open the filter, take a look at it. There's nothing else there, just 0s and 1s, because here there were no missing values, just males and females. So let's take a look. We'll want to do this for every category here, every category. And that's what your homework is now. This category is all numbers, so there's nothing to recode, which is awesome. This category, again, all interval or numeric values, so nothing to recode. But we can see where we would need to recode, okay? And you can see where we need to recode, and this is already halfway coded for you, because it's telling you 0 is going to be underweight, 3 is going to be obese, okay? This is already halfway coded for you, okay? 0, 1, and 2. So you just go in and recode, all right? And the next question asks you, how would you recode? It tells you how I've recoded the other values, variables. How would you recode restaurant? So think through that. Let me just show you what I mean by that. It says 1 time, 2 times, all the way to 6 or more times. But then we have a value called I don't know. And if you look through the homework, right before that, I tell you things like I don't know. These are missing values. Missing values, when we recode, we leave them blank. What does leave it blank mean? It means essentially everywhere we see that missing value, let's see what that missing value is. Say DK, don't know / no opinion, we would go in and sort just so we can see where it is. Don't know, don't know, don't know. Okay, you know what? This is a good example of when I would like to deselect everything and select what I actually want to see. So it's only once. So I would literally just delete that. That's how you recode missing values. Now, did I do that correctly? No. Why? Because I just tampered with original data. What I would want to do is copy this whole column, right? Paste it right next to it, and then the duplicated column I would now delete, okay? Or find them all and let me see, where would I No. So let's do this one. No. Control H. Hashtag no, exclamation point. Everywhere we see that, we know those are missing values. Everywhere it is in this column, I want it to be blank because it's missing. So let's see how many there are. 12. There were 12 of them. Okay. Again, keep in mind that I have just tampered with original data. I should have copied this, right? And I should have inserted, and then I should have tampered with, recoded the duplicated one. But just bear with me because I'm only showing you steps for recoding, not steps for recoding correctly and not tampering with the data. So just keep in mind you should not tamper with the original data. But notice here that there are no more nulls. The nulls are gone. Okay, and they're now here as blanks. Okay, so let's take a look at those blanks. Blanks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 things were deleted. Okay, person 216, person 726, and so on. Those are the people who decided, I don't want to tell you my age. All right, so we're done there. I want to move on quickly to what I was saying here. Keep in mind that we want it to have some logical order. So keep that in mind as you answer this question. You have 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, all the way to 6 or more times. But guess what? You also have never. So is never more than 6 times? Think about it. No. The answer is no. Is never more than 1 time? No, never. And if we're looking at this, never means what? 0. But what about less than weekly? So with that, I'll leave you to do your homework and then make sure you check the answer key, okay? So next we have the descriptive information. So we've done recoded. Now we get into the lecture 2 stuff, okay? So number of observations, we'll do, it tells us to do equals count, okay? And you're gonna find this really simple because you just type equals and you write count, okay? You can click it to select it, double click, or you could have just pressed tab. Press tab key on your keyboard, keypad, okay? And then you go to BMI. So we want to know how total number of observations. So let's go to BMI. We're going to select it. Notice it's here. It's telling us we have moved from the homework spreadsheet to the data spreadsheet. We selected that column, and then we can just press enter. It'll close the parentheses for us. See, it closed it for us. And it told us that there are 1,000 people that we have their BMI in this sample. Now, next thing, see how I started with equal sign? What do we want to know? We want to know the minimum, the lowest BMI. So let's type, you guessed it, min. Type enter, oops, right. Type tab, you can click tab, equals min, tab, or you can select it, or I'm sorry, double click it. And then you can go here, select it again, press enter. Notice, number 1, number 2, they have the same data. So if you're like me and you don't like all the extra work, I'm just gonna go type max now, okay? I didn't tell you I did, but I copied it and now I'm pasting. I'm just pasting that same data, that value, excuse me, that column, the variable. I put too many parentheses in there, but that's fine. They removed it for me. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Equals, what is range? From our lecture 2, we know range is maximum minus minimum. So I type equal. Okay, I'm not going to pull out a calculator because Excel is my calculator later. So I'm going to click here, maximum. I'm going to type minus sign, minimum. I'm going to press enter. And there it is right there. Telling you the exact same thing, but I just wanted you to see how I did it. Mean, you guessed it, equals average, not the first one, but the second one, average, mean, average. We know they're the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and type what I want, copy and paste that again, the variable column. So notice data, column J, data, column J, data, column J, data, column J. You're just going to do that all the way through. Now, when you get to excuse me, quartiles, it's a little different. Quartile, you can pick inclusive or exclusive. Let's pick exclusive. You're gonna select that column again. It says press comma, and now pressing comma is critical. If you don't press comma, you won't be able to select these. So you can use your mouse to select, or you can just type 1 and press enter. I'm going to show you again. Second quartile equals quartile exclusive. I'm going to type in that comma. I'm going to click it this time instead of typing 2. All right. Guess what? You're going to do the same thing for percentile. Percentile, though, is different in that you have to type in point and whatever the percent is. So if it's 55%, you're not typing 55. You're going to type 0.55, right? In this case, it's 90%. So 0.9, right? Or 0.90. Okay. Now, if you have recoded, because health, let's see what else, and exercise. Health is a variable that requires recoding. Exercise has already been recoded, or is already in the form of a number variable, so it doesn't need to be recoded. But here's health. If I want the mode for health, let's do multiple, because you can have multiple, right? Or you can have single. I'll tell it to just give me one. Let's go here, go to health. I'm going to press enter. Rightfully, it's telling us what do you want us to do here, because we don't see any numbers here. We don't know what you're telling us to do. And so it's saying this is not a valid column for me to find a mode. But if you have numbers in there, which you will once you've recoded, okay, let's do the mode for exercise. These are numbers, so it worked out, okay? So this is what you're going to do for homework 2. I hope this makes a whole lot of sense and that it's very straightforward. With that, I bid you farewell until lecture 3 homework. All right, bye-bye.